Hello, my name is Sofia Cuevas, and today I will be trying to answer the question of why are babies so darn cute? So, babies, we love them, we know them, and most importantly, we care for them. Every time we look at a baby, our immediate reaction is, "Aw," and how can we not? They're just so adorable. However, I really want to know why we have such an endearing reaction to babies, besides the obvious reasons that, well, they're just really cute because, they have their big little cheeks and their fat little arms. I, however, have come up with a potential answer, which is babies are cute because they need to survive. So I think that babies developed, these cute physical traits such as their baby fat, their big heads, and their big eyes as an evolutionary developmental tool that ensures their survival. Their cuteness is actually, once again, a tool that maintains them alive on this earth through the psychological effect it has on us older humans. So, as I mentioned in the last slide, baby fat and big heads is more than just cute. It's quite literally a survival tool. So, as humans, we have two types of fat. We have white fat and we have bat fat, which stands for brown adipose tissue fat. This bat fat generates heat by burning white fat, and it acts as a baby's internal furnace. Not only that, but it stores energy. And surprise, the organ that requires the most energy in our body is our brain. And babies have a really, really massive one. Their brain is actually um, using 50 to 60% of their energy reserves. And so, of course, babies need to have all this fat in their bodies in order to support such a huge organ. And not only that, but this fat provides them with the nutrients needed in that waiting period for their mother's milk to kick in. So now that I've really sort of delved into why, babies have their baby fat and their big head, I want to delve into the psychological reactions that we have to these traits, which is essentially cuteness mind control. So babies use their cuteness as a protective mechanism. They are these completely helpless beings and they need to gain power and control somehow. So they do it through our consciousness. More specifically, they activate our orbital frontal cortex within a matter of milliseconds, 140 milliseconds to be precise. And our orbital frontal cortex is responsible for reacting to visual stimulus, and it either categorizes visual stimulus as rewarding or as punishment. And of course, to us, babies are rewarding to look at. And we hence develop these feelings of caregiving and compassion towards them. Now, the cute baby effect isn't just applicable to human babies, it's also applicable to mammalian species that are typically helpless at birth. They also possess the traits of the big eyes and the big head and the baby fat. And even within the parents of non-human mammalian species, they are affected by these traits because they essentially look just like them, and so they bond with them immediately. Kind of narcissistic, if I do say so myself, but it is what it is. So this also explains why we feel so connected with babies that aren't even related to us, or just with mammals that look like us, that have the bodily hair, the big eyes, the big head. It's because they are something that is familiar to us. So we feel safe around them and we feel the need to protect them. However, with species such as reptiles that are independent nearly at birth, they do not possess the traits that I mentioned previously. And hence why we are usually put off by them. Because, quite frankly, these species do not need our help. They don't need any help of any kind. So we don't feel that connection, that bond with them. Now, I think that being born helpless isn't too bad. And there's actually a word for this helplessness in certain species at birth, which is called altricial. And non altricial species are called precocial species. So, Obviously, there are characteristics between the two. One of these characteristics being that altricial species are born with their eyes and ears closed, whereas precocial species are born with their eyes and ears open. Altricial species are also born naked, whereas precocial species are born hairy. Now, there is one characteristic that I really want to emphasize, which is the length of their gestation. Altricial species are typically have a very short length of gestation, whereas precocial species have a very long length of gestation. Now, at least in human babies, it is necessary for us to be born altricial because of the following dilemmas and hypotheses that I will list. The obstacle dilemma suggests that if a baby stays too long in its mother's womb, it will not be able to fit through her birth canal. And if a baby cannot fit through its mother's birth canal, that would be absolutely detrimental to the mother. Now, the metabolical crossover hypothesis suggests that the mother supports the baby for as long as her energy reserves can last, which ties into the energetics of gestation and growth hypothesis that states that a mother's energetic reserves max out at around the 40 weeks of gestation. And so she then signals to her body that it's time to push the baby out of her womb because she can no longer support it. So essentially, we have to be born underdeveloped because if we develop too long in our mother's bodies, it would be absolutely detrimental to them. Now, helplessness is actually an advantage. Humans have the lowest advancement factor of all primates. As you can see in this graph, our advancement factor is one of 28.1. So even the species above us triumph over us over 10 points, and the species all the way at the top triumph over us with an advancement factor of 71.4, which is like nearly 50 points above us. But why do we have such a low advancement factor? Well, it's because of extragestation, which suggests that we do a lot of our cerebral advancement once we are outside of the womb and not when we are in the gestation period. We basically develop a lot of our white matter when we are outside of the womb, which is very important because white matter is what helps with plasticity of our brain, which is essentially the molding and the adapting of our brain to information. And because as humans, we have so much social and cultural stimuli that we need to learn when we're outside of the womb, it is imperative that our brains have enough plasticity to grow and mold and adapt to this social and cultural stimuli. So, in conclusion, what we deem as cute and delicate in babies is actually their evolutionary superpower, and it's how they keep themselves alive. So, on top of being super adorable and cute, babies are actually kind of awesome. So, I would just like to thank everyone for tuning into this presentation. I hope you learned something of value. And here is my bibliography. Have a nice day.